Produced by Betoit, the Masters of Wrestling gives a special thanks to Jesse Hernandez and the EWF, Empire Wrestling Federation, and to each of you, our loyal viewers. And now, on with the show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Stylin', the podcast. I'm one of your co-stars, the Master Emir, along with my co-star. Ladies and gentlemen, he is a former WWE and AEW superstar. He is the stylist, Rico Costantino.
Yeah. Ooh, they're gone.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I can't do this no more. But welcome, everybody. Welcome to a fantastic show. We got a fantastic guest, one of wrestling's greatest tag teams, one half. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to talk to this gentleman and hear his side and tell his story and how he succeeded after wrestling, which is very important. Very
Absolutely.
important.
Speaking of succeeding, Rico, I will see that you've succeeded in going back to your original attire. I see the tiger stripe has come back. Yeah, so what's the story behind that? Last week you were a cowboy.
Well, I'm still the cowboy, but I am still the stylist. You know, I had to school the affluent in the big AZ on some style, some remodeling and stuff like that. They needed my tips. So I had to dress for the occasion.
Yeah. Speaking of dressing for the occasion, have you heard from MXM any recently? Have you heard from them?
Oh yeah, we talk. We talk a lot.
All right. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that off camera. I'm not going to get into a negative here with you, Rico, about that. But before we begin, Rico, what would you ask of our audience?
I want you all to lay the smack down on that subscribe button, hit the like, and share it with your friends. You will not be disappointed because the stylist said so.
Absolutely. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share with your friends and family. Now on to our special guest. You see him at the bottom of the screen. Ladies and gentlemen, it's always an honor to have him here on the Masters of Wrestling. Put your hands together wherever you are for Raymond Rougeau.
Yay!
Hey guys, how are you? You know, it's the first time I ever see a cowboy with a tiger shirt on.
Well, if you saw me a week or two ago, I'd have been in my cowboy gear because I was training my horse. I'm into cowboy mounted shooting, is where you ride a horse and shoot targets from your horse. And I'm sorry, I just got back from a styling engagement, so I had to come on as this, or else I'd have been in my cowboy wear.
Did you hit the targets?
I'm doing 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 every time.
So we better be nice to you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a little tougher than a police officer because I would get perfect scores firing at targets that don't move. But now you're on a horse who also has an opinion on where it's going to go, and you're trying to shoot targets, you know. So you got to be in tune with your horse. And Rico's Rose, which is my horse, I'm training her to go into competition. I already have 8 wrestling titles. I have the American Gladiator title. And in the cowboy mounted shooting, I can win 6 more world championships, which will bring my total to 15.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, impressive, which is why, ladies and gentlemen, I brought the two of these great gentlemen together on the show this week because, like Rico, Raymond has gone on to do some tremendous things. Champions. They're not born in the gym. It starts from the inside and it works its way out. Do you feel it more difficult to obtain muscle? Are you tired or perhaps depressed? Then there's a solution. Our brand new partner and sponsor, Care Aesthetics of La Quinta, are here to help you get restored to optimal health. Just use the contact information in this video and schedule your free consultation. Be sure to mention the name of the podcast, whether that be Power and Glory, Stylin', Masterclass, or Hey Roma, when doing so. We wish you all the best in your road to optimized health. And now, back to the show. Raymond has gone on to do some tremendous things, is still doing tremendous things right now up in Canada. And so I wanted to really share that because I think it's important, to share, especially for wrestlers out there. Because when you get into wrestling, and Raymond, I want to pose that question to you before we begin. When you got into it, was it everything for you? Did you make it everything?
Yes, I did. I started the business when I was 16 years old.
Mhm.
And yes, it was everything. And you know what's funny is when you start at that age, or no matter what age, when you start in the business and you're going to make it your career, you don't see an end to it.
Right.
You're beginning. You see are goals that you want to attain, levels you want to get to, but you never think it's going to end.
Right.
But you have to realize one day it is going to end, and you have to plan for that.
Yeah, yeah, indeed, exactly. That's the thing is so many wrestlers, and I hear it as well with the guys I'm with, on the circuits, it is everything. It has to become. Rico, you've said that as well yourself in the past. It's not something that you can just switch off. Once you're in the
No.
zone, you've got to keep thinking about your next show, your next promo, what have you. So, again,
And the evolution of your character.
yeah,
Yeah.
You can't just stay stagnant. You
right.
got to
No.
keep revolutionizing, reinventing it,
Mhm.
because the audience will get stagnant if you keep coming out doing the same thing.
Mhm.
You got to do something different, shock them, surprise them, whatever it is. If you're a heel, do something more dirty than the last time you did.
Mhm.
You've got to do something to make them hate you,
Yeah.
as a heel. As a face, you got to come up with new fancy moves, new false finishes,
Mhm.
but you always go to your finisher at the end. But you got to come up with new ring presence,
Yeah.
as a face, because I was both face, heel, heel, face, heel. I've did both sides.
Yeah.
Doesn't
No,
mean I go both ways, but I did both sides.
right. Yeah. No, no. We understand that. We understand that. But I do want to state though, ladies and gentlemen, Raymond and Jacques, all three of the Rougeau brothers were awarded this past Saturday at Gatineau Pro Wrestling (GPW) up in Canada. They were given sort of like a lifetime recognition award for the family. Obviously from you were saying Ray, from 1946 until 2018, the Rougeaus had such a huge hand in professional wrestling in Canada. Tell us a little bit about that night, what that meant for you, and because it was a big crowd that witnessed.
There was a big crowd. It's around 3,500 people there.
Yep.
And we signed autographs during the day, took pictures. There was like a WrestleCon, and then we were there for the event. They had approached us last year, telling us that they wanted this year to do actually, it was kind of to recognize what the contribution of our family towards professional wrestling in the province of Quebec for all those years. Because, like you said, the family goes back to 1946 in the business,
Yep.
and right up until 2018, a lot of generations.
Yep.
But every
Yeah, that was
generation,
even before I was thought of.
yeah, right, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But each generation brought something to the business, and like we said, we create memories. We create, people grow up listening to us, watching us, going to the matches, and it influences their lives. I met one of the guys that was at Gatineau last week, and it was a funny thing. He gave me a little story. I didn't have a clue. He was at a show at the Montreal Forum in the 80s. Actually, yeah, late 80s, towards the end.
Yeah.
And there was something that went on. He had won a prize. He was supposed to have a ticket, and it didn't work out. And so that he was a kid. He was disappointed. I got him a ticket, and he came in. He said that changed his life. And for him that night, he realized that's what he wanted to do. And he was wrestling on that card last Saturday night. But the thing that changed is the fact that I got him a ticket that he could get in. That changed his life. I said, I hope you don't hold a grudge against me because you became a wrestler. But he said, no, but I said, thanks for sharing the story, because it just makes us realize how sometimes the smallest things will change a person's life.
Yeah.
So basically they wanted, and all during the day, the fans that came up to us, thanks for the memories. Thanks for this. Oh, I was there the night, and we're going back when I started, in the 70s. You were here and you wrestled so-and-so, and I was there. I was a kid with my father watching you.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Yeah.
And now he's there with his kids saying, when I was a kid, I watched them wrestle. It's all the exchanges of the stories that make you realize and appreciate how much that we did have an impact on people's lives. And for them to want to recognize that, for me, it was humbling, because during our careers, you don't have the opportunity to realize how much that you do and have an influence on people's lives, or how much you affected their lives or impacted them. But then when you hear all these things, all these stories, and the people come there and you saw the reception we got, it's humbling. It's like, wow. So and I know I did a little speech, and I mentioned to them, so many people, they said, thanks for the memories. But one thing for me was, thank you, because tonight you are giving us these memories that we will cherish for the rest of our lives. Yeah. So, it's for going there, it's like giving back. And at the same time, they're giving back again. It's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it was. It was
wrestling
true.
Fans always give. The wrestling fans always give. And Raymond, sir, I got to tell you, I was one of your fans.
Oh, thank you.
Growing up, and loved watching you and your brother on TV. Oh my God. I still remember them. I even watched old videos before we got on the show, and it just brought the tingling back on the presence you guys showed in the ring. My gosh, it was like natural.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, and we keep trying to tell the new wrestlers, you have to internalize whatever character you are. You have to internalize it, because once you believe it, they will believe it. If you're putting on an act, they're not going to believe it. But if you really do it and you believe what you do and you're committed to it, they will latch on and they won't let go.
That's right. And the thing is when you go out, like you're saying, back in the days when my brother and I were wrestling, we weren't going, okay, well, we've got a match to do. No, we're living this moment. We're living the fabulous Rougeau brothers. We are who we are in the ring. And you go out and, you mentioned a little earlier that we didn't have to be somebody we were not. And this, that was us. We just tweaked it up a little bit. That was us, So we went into the ring. We were being ourselves. But at the same time, we were cherishing each moment that we were in the ring, because nothing is given to you forever, and it can be taken away tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So every night when we went into wrestle, it was like, oh, we've got to be on the road, this and that. Basically, this could be the last night of our career. You get a career-ending injury, and it's over. Yeah. So we lived each match, each night, each day to the fullest, because like it was the last one, because it could be.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I did too. That's the exact same philosophy I did, because I got in late. Yeah. And Vince didn't like that I was older, because he was looking at the younger people. Yeah. So I cherished every house show, every TV taping, and I did it like it would be my last one. Yeah. Because you never knew.
And it goes by so fast. That's another thing, I notice as well, like me, I'm cherishing every moment as my journey has begun now. And whether the show is a small or it's a larger crowd, it's a memory, but it goes by fast. I can't believe, Raymond, that it's already been almost a week since that show. And I remember just taking off to come up to Canada, and now it's already gone. It's already a memory. So yeah, you've got to enjoy every moment and embody it, and I think living in the moment is another key. That's another key to being, to having what we call success in life.
In every facet of life, everyone tells you, stop thinking ahead, live the moment. Yeah. Unfortunately, not too many people are able to do that, because they're always thinking of their next move or their next show or their next stage. Yeah. Enjoy the moment. Like to say, slow down, take time to smell the roses. Yeah, exactly. Appreciate the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm appreciating this right now.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, So am I. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
To have you on the show is just an honor.
Yeah.
And I told the people and where I started, Empire Wrestling Federation, I said, I don't care if your crowd is 10 or 10,000. You perform like you're performing
Yep.
for 10, 20,000 people. That's how you perform. You
Yep.
perform for the people in the nosebleed sections.
Mhm.
That's what you do. You do not hold back because of the crowd. You
Mhm.
give them everything you got. You leave it in the ring, and you go back and you can look yourself in the mirror and go, "I gave them the best."
But
Yeah.
you know,
You got to
Rico,
do that.
everyone that's there, they paid 100% of the price of their ticket.
Yep,
So the least we could do is give them 100% of ourselves.
Mhm.
exactly, sir.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly.
And
I've always had that attitude, and even doing EWF shows back when I did them, and then I did Ohio Valley Wrestling when I got signed to a developmental deal. I don't care what the crowd was. I was
Yep.
going to give them my best of whatever Rico Costantino was, whatever Rico the role model was. And in WWEF, because I signed under F, it became E. When I went out there, you were going to get the best of what I had to offer,
Yeah.
and you decide. And
Mhm.
the audience really decided my career.
Yep. Oh
You
yeah.
know, they
Because
really
they're paying
did.
attention. They're paying attention backstage on the reaction and what you bring to the show. And if you're not bringing it, you're gone.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And I've told Amir this. I'll tell you, uh, I first started out, I didn't know anything about wrestling. I was 8 months in the business, had 12 matches, and I got signed to a developmental deal. And then I went up to Connecticut, had a 10-day tryout. Cornette signed me. I went to Ohio Valley, which was one of three uh, developmental territories for WWE. And when they called me up to Ottawa, they made me a manager to Billy and Chuck. I'm like, I know nothing about managing. I barely know wrestling. What do you you're throwing me a curveball here?
Mhm.
So I get on the phone with Kenny Bolin, my old manager, and I start talking to Billy Gunn, who's a tag team expert.
Yep.
What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I don't know how to manage. And Kenny gave me tips, and Billy Gunn goes, "Don't worry, kid, I got you." And what he did. So when I first came out, I was just nervous and scared and worried about failure,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but Billy told me what to do, and I did it on the Hardy Boys in Ottawa. I didn't know Hardy Boys had a big following in Ottawa because after I interfered in the match and hung Matt Hardy on the ropes and got the 1, 2, 3 in Ottawa, the fans can be up top and the stage is down below.
Mhm.
So when I came out with my sideburns, oh my God, they were throwing snowballs at me,
You
which
were.
means I did my job.
You
Yep.
did your job. You did your. I wanted to reflect back upon something that, Raymond, we talked about here about creating those special moments for the fans. And
Yep.
I think that's so imperative for anybody watching this who wants to be a pro wrestler. I think first and foremost, I don't know if the two of you agree with me, you've got to have a heart for humanity. You've got to have a heart for people because you're creating memories, like you said, you're making an impact. And maybe for those who already are in the business, remember that. People are watching you. People are looking up to you. All right. That's a big responsibility, you can create a memory between a father and a son, a grandfather and a son, what have you, and inspire people like that. So do you think that is a huge prerequisite that people should carry, Raymond?
I think so. Absolutely. And there's also another thing. Yeah. One of the first things that I was taught in the business before learning how to work,
Mhm.
I started training in the gym to wrestle at 14. And they said the first lesson is about your publicity. Read it, enjoy it, but don't believe it. So the thing
Yep.
is, never forget where you came from.
Mhm.
Some people that I've met through my careers all of a sudden became their gimmick, changed. They forgot where they came from and they were completely absorbed. And I think you lose touch of reality and you lose touch of why you're there.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, you're doing it for the crowd, you're doing it to create memories. At one point, some people got so involved with their gimmicks, they were doing it for themselves, for their own personal gratification.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a huge mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amir and I have talked about that, wrestlers who absorb their gimmick and become their gimmick. Can I ask you a question, sir?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Did you sign autographs after the show before
Always,
kayfabe was really? You did.
always, always.
Okay. That's what I did. Whether I was a heel or a
Yeah,
face, I
yeah,
went out and before I got to my rent-a-car, I signed everybody's autographs. I took pictures with everybody I could
yeah,
and I greeted them and I spoke to them as Rico, not Rico the stylist.
exactly.
I never brought the gimmick outside of the arena.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
And, when we were traveling from house shows to house shows, you got to eat good while you're riding. And I used to stop at an Applebee's, at TGI Fridays, an Outback, or something like that. And I'd be by myself because that's what I drove by myself. And fans would come up and ask me questions. I said, why don't you all sit down with me?
Yeah,
Sit down. Let's talk.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wasn't going to pick up the check. We'll go Dutch, but let's sit and talk. And we would talk during dinner. So I always had company with the
yeah,
fans and they would ask questions and I would love it. I would just cherish that moment with the fans.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And later on, I've had some really great stories, which I don't want to take the time, but like you, the fans would tell me, oh, I remember when you did this. I was here when you did that. And I'm like, oh, I don't recall that. But,
yeah,
they were telling me, even when I started doing conventions, they would come and tell me, oh, you did this, you did that. I had fans pictures from 20 years ago
yeah,
show me, look, this is I met you here.
Yeah.
And they take another photo,
yeah.
from 20 years later.
Yeah.
And that is humbling,
Mm-hmm.
that
I
a
think
fan.
that's your personality. You can't teach that.
Right.
No.
That comes from who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And that came naturally. Nobody taught you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
When they came out and they wanted to, they asked you for an autograph, whether you were heel or babyface, you recognized they appreciated what you do in the ring. They saw you outside and they're appreciating you as a human being and asking you for an autograph. And like I said, you can't teach that. So that is because you were genuine. Mm-hmm. So you come out, they're acknowledging, coming to you for an autograph, even if you were heel, they're acknowledging they appreciate the work you did. They know you were working, but they came out and appreciate you did a great job and we'd like your autograph. Yeah. And you're acknowledging your appreciation to the fans by giving them the autograph, giving them the time and addressing them. And it's the same thing. I'm the mayor where I live, okay? And I can hardly go anywhere without somebody stopping me, because first of all, I'm already well known. And the fact that I'm the mayor, I'm on all the city publicities and publications, this and that. Everybody knows who I am. Yeah. So this morning.
Okay, so now I have to address you as Your Honor.
Oh, no. No, Mr. Mayor will be fine. No.
Mr. Mayor.
No, but it's funny. This morning, I went to do an errand. I went to get something. And then people recognized me right away. And I said, oh, Mr. Mayor, we really don't want to bother you, but I have a question for you. I know. I said, don't worry about it. Go ahead. What's your question? And I spoke with them. I received their question. I explained the answer. I explained what it is. Oh, thank you so much for your time. We know this. We were kind of a little, worried about disturbing you. You're not at City Hall. I said, when you're the mayor 24/7. Mm-hmm. And I said, we cross paths. You have a question. It's my pleasure to answer your question. They left. They were all smiles, but that's the way I am. Yeah. So it's the same thing in our wrestling business. It's the same thing. I'm the same person being the mayor that if somebody crosses me, I'm not going to say, I don't have time for you. Okay, I got an appointment at my office or something. No, I'm going to stop what I'm doing. I'm going to talk to them and I'm going to answer them. Yeah. And even if it's just to say hello, and many times I get stopped for autographs. Mr. Mayor, can I have your autographs? No problem. Yeah, my pleasure. you know.
Yeah.
But it was like that in the business. It's like that after the business. I think it's more who you are.
Yeah, I think
See,
so.
you
I
know
would agree
what,
with that.
Your Honor, I will vote for you.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it that you're in touch with the public and the people that you oversee. I love that you take time
Yeah.
to listen to the people because that's who put you in office and they
Yeah.
want you to make things better
Yeah.
for them.
Mhm.
And for you to stop and do that, that is just wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, you
It's
have
more
to
than wonderful.
recognize if I'm there, it's because they put me there when they voted for me.
Hmm.
They
Yep.
believed in me, so I want to live
Yep.
up to their expectations. I want to give back. And in our business, it's the same things. If the
Yep.
fans weren't there, we would not have had careers.
Correct.
Nope.
So, so we owe that to them at the same time, but it's not like a debt, it's just a recognition. Thank you
Recognition.
Yes.
for being there. Without you, there would be no us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's that recognition,
Well said.
same
Yeah.
thing,
Well said.
well said. Yeah, we had the same thing. We're heels. What I do with Delirium out here in California, and the same thing. The kids will come over. The kids are fascinated by the
Yeah.
characters. They're
Yeah.
fascinated, so they will come after the show. Of course, I'll keep the voice going for them, but I will invite them. I'll acknowledge them. I'll bring them as part of the story, and that's the most rewarding thing of all. That is it. But
Yeah.
you said right. It has to come from within you to
Yeah.
begin with. So I
Well,
just, I pray
the
there are a lot.
mayor explained it the best way than ever could be. You're
Yeah.
giving back.
Yeah.
You are acknowledging that they appreciate you and you appreciate them. And
Yeah.
that's why I think I had a longer career than what Vince wanted
Mhm.
Yeah.
because he couldn't deny either heel or babyface on what I did because the fans were there. They
Mhm.
always reacted.
Mhm.
One of my best matches was in Australia, 2002, the Global Warming Tour.
Mhm.
Warning, not warming, warning.
Yeah.
Went to Australia. There was about 60,000 people
Mhm.
in this arena. 60,000.
It's a lot.
And I go out there, I'm wrestling Rikishi in a kiss my ass match.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I can see it left marks.
Yeah, I did. Left a lot of marks. I had to have
Yes.
7 facials
Yep.
because and I went out there, and when you feel almost 60,000 people yelling Rico sucks in unison,
Mhm.
it charges you.
Yeah.
It gives you electricity in the body that
Yeah.
you are doing your job. And I was the opening match.
Yeah.
Go figure.
And
Rico, if 60,000 people are saying that, they can't all be wrong.
No.
no,
So,
I mean, my gosh, and then Rikishi called different things in the ring to
Yeah.
get me more hated.
Yeah.
So when, I got beat, I didn't want to get the ass in the face.
Yeah.
And he had to do his stuff, but he created it and he ended up sticking his ass in my face, which the crowd went bonkers,
Now
and I'm,
that's dedication.
Yeah.
yeah.
He is a dedicated, for sure, dedicated to his craft. You're like a method actor, Rico. That's what it is.
Yeah. Well,
Method.
Rikishi had 2 phases of the stink face.
Mhm.
2. If he didn't like you, you got the chocolate starfish.
Uh-oh.
That's it. But if he liked you, and respected you, you got the hind of his back, like the lower
Yeah.
spine. And he
Yeah.
put that in your face,
Yeah.
not the sphincter. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I was one of the people he liked. Thank God.
Thank
Yeah.
God for that. So
I did.
speaking of that, because I want to jump into some other details here. So Ray, I wanted to ask you about the final days in WWE because I wanted to create the thesis of this episode about moving on from wrestling and transitioning into other things in life. So you said wrestling was your life since you were 16. So you retired from WWF around about what, 34? Am I correct?
34. I was 34. Yeah.
34. So you're already in now almost 20 years into this love of Yeah, and I,
34. Do you remember Steve Lombardi?
Yeah. I saw him
Okay.
last weekend.
yeah, he was
Oh
up there.
my gosh. Steve Lombardi, he came up to me and he goes, "You're 40?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "And you're a rookie?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "I retired at 40."
Yeah, there you go. So
Okay. Oh my gosh. And you
yeah,
retired at 34.
yeah,
Yeah.
34. So he's 20 years into the business, roughly. You retire. Now, was it an easy decision to make, Raymond, or was it something that took a while psychologically for you to get to?
I've never been an impulsive person. Everything has always been planned and thought out. It wasn't a difficult decision when I made it.
Mhm.
When I was you see, the thing is, I left the business not because I didn't like the business. I still love the business. I couldn't handle the traveling anymore.
Mhm.
That that's what killed me. It was the traveling, and I just wanted to get off the road. You have to have motivation to continue. I didn't have that
Yeah.
motivation. I
Back
didn't.
then, I hate to
Pardon?
interrupt, but back then, what was your road schedule like?
I was
I
on the
want the
road.
fans to know that.
Yeah, 25 days a month. I was flying in jets on the road. I
Yeah.
only got home
Wow.
5 days a month and not 5 consecutive days.
Mm.
I'd
No.
have like 3 days off, but like my first day off, I could be in Houston, Texas. I have to fly from Houston to Chicago, Chicago to Montreal. To get to my house, I get home at 6 at night. That was my first day off. I
Mm.
had two left, then I'm gone for 19 straight.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
a lot.
See,
so
see,
I
now
won.
that's the difference
Yeah,
from you and I. You had it a lot harder. We went on the road for 4 days, and if it was a pay-per-view month, five
yeah,
days that week. But that was it. So my schedule was way easier
yeah.
than yours. So
At
I
one
want the
point,
fans to know that.
at one point, I got home 3 days out of 41.
Gosh,
So
man.
you look
Wow.
41 days, you get home three out of 41. So, but that was like that all year round. So we were living in jets, living in hotels, living in our suitcases, and that's not what I enjoyed. So
Mhm.
for me, I
No.
loved, the thing was, let's say I'll take a 24-hour day on the road. I was unhappy 21 hours out of those 24.
Mm.
There were three that I was happy is the moment I step into the building, because now I'm getting into the environment. I'm getting into the ball of where I like to be.
Yeah.
I'm getting into my mindset, my match, my character. Then, getting into my gear, warming up, watching the matches. Now I'm in a
In
ball
the
right.
zone.
I'm in a zone and I'm there until I leave the building. So it's all building up because most of the time we were on last or second to last. So I'd watch the evening building up to it. We'd go on, and then that was the climax going into the ring, having our match. Yeah, bing, boom. Our average match was 25, 30 minutes a day,
Very
Wow.
long. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that
So,
house shows or
yeah,
television?
yeah, house shows.
Both?
Yeah,
House
no,
shows,
well,
yeah.
on house shows. House shows average 25, 30 minutes a day.
Gosh.
So,
Wow.
you go in, we'd expend ourselves, put everything, give everything. We even had a series of matches which were called marathon matches. We'd go 1 hour, and the team with the most falls would win. And then we'd wind up going draw, like two falls apiece or one fall apiece, going to sudden death overtime.
Yeah.
We'd go for another 15, 17 minutes. So our match would last an hour and a quarter.
Oh,
And we did that many times.
who were some of those teams that you did that with,
It was
Raymond?
with the Rockers, Marty
The
Jannetty,
Rockers?
Shawn Michaels. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, we had Marty Jannetty on a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And so basically, but that was the fun for me. That was living why I was a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
But then after that, I come back, take a shower, then went back to the hotel, get 6 hours sleep if we're lucky, because they always booked us on early flights to the next city. Get on the plane, so we check out, return the rental car, go back to the airport, get on a flight. Hopefully it's on time. I get on, fall asleep on the plane, get up, or next city, rent a car, check in, go to the gym workout, sleep another hour or two, go to the building. But it was 25 days a month like that.
Yeah.
And always
Shoot.
we were changing time zones all the time. Like one day I started a tour or leaving here, I'm on Eastern Daylight Time, I'm flying my first day. I'm in San Francisco. Okay, so we're on last. We get in the ring at 9 o'clock at night. San Francisco time, it's midnight our time. I've been up since 5 in the morning to fly to California.
Yeah.
And you're in the ring at
Yeah.
midnight. You got a headache. It's like, oh man, you're all, you're
Yeah.
all. So that was difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, towards the end, I was getting, some guys would get impatient back then on the road, just the schedule, not sleeping, irregular eating, sleeping when you
Getting
can.
edgy. Everybody's getting edgy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the guys were all like that. Fortunately, I never took anything, like I told Amir in the past. I never drank, I never smoked, never did drugs, never did steroids. So I'd have, let's say, maybe better control of my impatience, or that sometimes my aggravation, where some guys
You have all your faculties.
things would blow up. I never blew up, but in my mind, it was like, I'm fed up, you know?
Yeah,
And
but you had your faculties.
Yeah.
You kept your faculties preserved.
Yeah.
Booze, drugs, nothing had effect on it. Yeah.
Never did that. Never did that in my life, and I still haven't.
Yeah.
So
okay.
There was one day, there's always a turning point in your life. That one day was we had a show in Victoria, BC. It was an afternoon show, and we'd been on the road all the time. And that afternoon after the show, it was a nice day. I went walking. I passed in front of a park. And I was by myself. I spent a lot of time by myself. Passed in front of a park. I saw a couple with their 2 kids. And it was cliche, but they had a blanket on the ground, a picnic basket. The kids were running around. The parents, they were enjoying their kids. And I'm here walking by myself on a street in Victoria, BC. This is my life going by right now, And I'm looking at that, and I'm saying, I'm missing out right now. And the thing is, the reason you do things in life because you have a goal, you want to sacrifice for goals. I did not need the financial goal anymore. I had attained financial independence. I had investments. I didn't need to work anymore. So I was like, why am I still doing this? And what shocked me is I didn't have an answer. It's because I was on that wheel, and the wheel just turning. I'm just turning and turning. And I guess I'm numb from our schedule. I don't know why I'm doing this anymore.
Yeah.
So that's where, that was the spring of '89. And that's where I was making the decision, okay, I'm going to think about this. I wanted to see if it was just a phase, because sometimes you went through phases. It lasted a week, a month.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden you get over the hump. Oh, I'm back into it. I'm happy. I want to see if it's a phase or not, but it wasn't. This was in March, April 1989. I did April, May, and June. By June, I had never budged. I was in that same space. I don't want to be on the road anymore. So that's where I made a conscious decision that 50% of the chances by September I was going to be gone, but 99% of the chances by December I'm going to be gone. I never get 100 because you never know what can happen, but at 99%. Yeah. And it's that summer when I knew I was going to leave in that year that I accepted that we tried for it to have a child. I did not want to be on the road 25 days a month and have a child growing up and being a missing father. So I said, okay, because chances are I might be gone by September. And if not, I'm gone by December. So my wife got pregnant in August. My son was going to be born in April, beginning of April. So I knew I was going to be gone. So basically at SummerSlam '89, the next day we were at TV and I went to see Vince and I was giving him a 3-month notice, which, when you've had it, 3 months is like an eternity, and nobody gave a 3-month notice. The reason for that is out of respect for the company. I knew because we had a good place in the company when we were heels of Fabulous Rougeau Brothers. And I know when we leave, it's going to create a void. And I didn't want to leave I didn't want to leave them with a void. So I said, 3 months, you'll have time to bring in a new team, start to build them slowly, fade us out slowly. You won't even feel it, the transition. Vince tried everything to keep us, but my brother and I, we had agreed that we were going. So we wanted to finish at Survivor Series '89. And like I said, my wife was pregnant. For me, my life was going to move on as of November '89. Yeah. That tour, Vince asked us to finish the tour because we were in Chicago. There were like 4 days left on the tour. He asked us if we go to the end of the tour because otherwise he'd be missing guys to finish the tour. it wasn't a matter of days. I mean, we finished at Survivor Series '89. We finished 4 more dates in California. Yeah, I'll finish it, no problem. And but that's when he wanted to find a way to keep us or to keep me, anyways. And he offered me the job as commentator. But the decision was made before I left. 7 months before leaving, I knew that was going to be the end, and I never wavered, never put it in question, never questioned, am I making the right decision? I knew it was the right thing to do.
I guess it's almost like you had made, if it was someone who lost somebody in life, they go through a grieving period or a mourning period,
No,
as it
I
were.
didn't even grieve it even more.
No, but
For
not
me,
not not
it's
not grieve, not grieve per se, but you'd already mentally prepared for what was coming. You knew it was done, so you had already moved on in your mind. So it wasn't, there wasn't
well,
so much of a
and the thing is, like I've mentioned before, a lot of guys a lot of guys live for the attention. They need that attention. They need the fame. That I didn't need that. It wasn't, it came with it and I enjoyed it.
yeah.
Yes, thank you. But after that, I can turn the page, go home, get up, put my sweatsuit on, go in the woods, walking with my dog, go work out. I'm happy. I'm home.
Yeah.
I didn't miss.
Same,
I didn't miss that.
Same.
same for me when I left.
Mhm.
It was time,
Yeah,
and I knew it was time, and I gave Vince. The reason why I left is because after the 3-year contract, Vince wouldn't give me a raise,
yeah,
and I've held the tag team titles twice.
yeah,
Once with Rikishi, once with Charlie Haas, and he still had me at the beginning contract. I said, well, I'd like 1,000 more a week
yeah,
because now I'm on the magazine, I'm on videos, I'm on video games, I got action figures, I'm contributing. So I
yeah,
need to get a raise.
yeah,
And he told me, no, you're not that popular. I said, okay.
Hmm.
I
yeah,
said, you got 90 days, Vince. And that was in November. Sign me and sign my raise because you can afford it's only 52,000.
yeah,
I mean, you can't afford a
yeah,
$52,000 raise.
yeah,
And I said on February 1st, I quit.
yeah,
And February he held it. And to February 1st, he didn't sign it. I signed with All Japan. The next day I was on a flight to All Japan. I won the tag titles with Bull Buchanan in All Japan. And I was 44 at the time. And I said, do I want to keep coming to Japan
yeah,
3 weeks a month?
yeah, yeah,
And, I'm getting older. I don't want to travel just like you.
yeah,
I didn't have it as hard as you,
mm,
but I lived like you lived. I
yeah,
lived to get to the arena. I
yeah,
lived to perform. And that
yeah,
was the only time I was very happy is when I got to perform. House shows, television, pay-per-views, but all 21 other hours were just, oh God, I got to get here. I got
yeah,
to drive
yeah,
here. I got to
Yeah.
eat here. I got to work out here. I got to get check in. I got to check out. I got to return a
Yeah.
rental car. I got to get a rental car. You know, people don't realize what wrestlers really go through,
yeah.
and that Vince doesn't pay that.
No,
We pay that.
Mhm.
yeah,
It comes out of our pocket.
yeah,
So, and, so you're miserable for 21 hours and you're happy for three of the 24, but it's worth it
Mhm.
yeah,
at the time until it's not worth it. So if you're not getting paid on what you think you're valued at, you got to move on.
absolutely.
And I moved on. I went to Japan, like I said, for 3 weeks, won the tag titles first night. And after those 3 weeks, I came back to United States, Vegas, and I said, do I want to continue to do this? And in
Yeah,
my mind, I said no.
yeah,
I mailed the tag team title back to All Japan, and then I started Police Academy. And I started in March. I finished July. I was hired as an officer in September. 6 months later, I was hired as a deputy U.S. Marshal. So I was doing a state cop, federal cop. And then in one year, 2007, 2008, I accepted another police officer job. So I was a county reserve cop, state full-time investigator, and a part-time United States Marshal.
that's impressive.
And I've been happy.
Yeah.
And within those years, Vince, because they came to Vegas, Vince sent Tommy Dreamer to ask me to come back. And I said, thank you, Tommy. I met him at the Westin Hotel. I'm on uniform. I said, thanks, Tommy, but tell Vince, no, I'm done with wrestling. I'm in a new profession. I'm getting a retirement. I'm taken care of. Thank you,
Yeah.
but no thank you.
Yeah.
And that
You know
was
what's
it.
funny? The parallel in that is when I started wrestling, I had a plan B. My plan B, I was going to be a police officer for the Quebec Provincial Police, like your state trooper. I had my
Right.
papers for that. So when I started wrestling at 16, if that didn't work out, I had my papers. That's what I was going to be, is like your state
Yeah.
trooper. Yeah.
Wow.
Funny,
But
funny
do you
parallel.
Yes,
know,
yeah, it is.
before I went to wrestling, I was a city officer at 23. I was already a policeman
Okay.
at 23, and I went 3 years, and I didn't like the new chief they appointed. So
Yeah.
I just said, goodbye. I
Yeah.
don't need your crap. I don't like you. I don't
Yeah.
believe you. I
Yeah.
left. And then I did a bunch of other things.
Yeah.
So, and the next year, Tommy Dreamer came back with Paul Heyman, and they asked me to come back. And this time I didn't just say no. I added an adjective.
Yeah.
F no.
Yeah.
Evidently you didn't get the message.
Yeah.
So F no.
Yeah.
And then I never heard from him again. But I had 15 years of successful law enforcement.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened. The doctors don't, but I got blood clots, one in each lung. So I had to
Okay.
medically retire.
Okay.
Yeah. But the
Yeah.
but the
So
similarities
they gave me retirement.
But the similarities
Go ahead.
between the two of you, that's why I'm so glad that we were able to have both of you on the same show, because you're both an inspiration. You've both, again, been able to adjust, been able to, I guess the word I'm looking, mature. You were mature enough to know that that chapter of the life is finished, and now you're going to trudge forth into a new chapter. And they're both very, very, exceedingly well. Obviously,
Well,
long,
I think Raymond did better than me. I'm not the mayor.
yeah, you're not the mayor yet.
It's different. No, but one thing that I am proud of though is in the I could say I had 3 careers.
Mhm.
One was as a wrestler, and I finished my career the last years was in the biggest organization in the world.
Yep.
When I
Yep.
left, they wanted me to stay. Vince, give me a week, and I'll make you an offer you can't refuse. And it was, Vince, I just want to go home. I left. Then they offered me to become the French commentator. I did that for 17 years, being the French voice of the WWE for 17 years. There again, became commentator in the biggest wrestling organization in the world. They brought me back in 2017 on the network. So wherever you are throughout the planet, you choose French language, I'm doing the commentary. So for me, it's like, in the wrestling business, I finished in the biggest organization in the world. I was commentator for the biggest organization in the world. Then I went to politics, came in as a city councilor. Now I finish on top as the mayor.
Yeah.
For me, it's not bragging. It's just, wow, I'm proud of what I've accomplished.
You should be.
Should
You
be.
should be.
Yeah.
You moved on.
Yeah.
And that's what this show's about,
Yeah.
is the wrestlers who cannot move on.
Yeah.
There is hope. That's what we're trying to tell them.
Yeah.
Everything's not wrestling. There's
No.
a time for everything. There's a chapter. You got to all of a sudden go close that chapter, open a new chapter.
Yeah.
And Amir and I are Christians, so we believe the Lord opens doors and closes doors.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the doors he closes, you can't reopen, no matter how hard you try. So you got to look for the open doors. I've always looked for the open doors.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I have been blessed with a life that maybe 4 men could not live,
Mhm.
and I'm very humble and very appreciated of it.
You're talking about life opens doors, closes doors, which is true. Sometimes guys that are in the business, they think, this is all I have. That's life. It's only about, what would I do if I don't have this? There are opportunities you have to open your horizons, and If you're just like this, looking at the business, something's going to pass right by. You won't even see it because you're not even looking.
Right.
Keep your eyes
Right.
open. When I went into politics, it's not because I had any aspirations to go into politics. I was approached in 2002 by a woman that was going to run for mayor here. And there were some businessmen that had told her she wanted to build her team. She needed 6 city councilors. And they said, why don't you go talk to Mr. Rougeau? You know, he's very well respected. You know, people like him. Go talk to her. She knew my career. She knew about me, but she didn't know me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was approached, I was like, boy, I don't have any aspirations into politics. But at the same time, I had completely gone out of the business, was retired, and I'm like, this is an opportunity that life is offering to me to go into something completely different. I don't know how it works. It was a learning experience. So I accepted to meet with her. I spent an hour and a half. So I got to know her, what her values are, and this and that, and vice versa. She was right away, if you would accept to be in my team, it would be an honor to have you in my team. I said,
So she was
"Thank
over
you."
the moon.
Yes, but I
That's
said,
good.
I want to take 48 hours because if I commit to it, I'm going to give 100%. I just want to reflect. Do I really want to commit to it? Because being in politics is captivating. You give a lot of yourself, and I just wanted to think it. I didn't want to be impulsive and say, okay, yes, and then change my mind.
Yeah.
I didn't need the 48 hours finally. The next morning, I called her and I said, it would be my honor to be part of your team. She was a good person. But that got me into it. And I said, I'll go, I'll do one mandate and I'll see if I like it. If I don't, I'll say, I'm just not going to run. Every 4 years, there's elections. So I said, next term, I'll say, no, thank you. I tried it. And, you know, it's not for me. Thank you. But the passion grew. And for me, it's fascinating. And I learned so much.
Yeah.
You're constantly looking at how you can better people's lives, your community. What can you do to make your city better, to make it safer, to make it more enjoyable, to make it more attractive? You're always looking into things, but then there are obstacles you have to overcome. There are laws, there are ways to do things, there are this, there's that. So you're constantly, your mind is constantly solicited, which for me was a blessing. For me, that's my stimulation also, is, you know, you keep your brain alive.
Yeah.
You're constantly learning. I've been there now. This is my 6th consecutive term. In November, I'm running again. It'll be my 7th term.
Yeah.
And I learn every day.
Yeah.
And I'm glad for that because that's what keeps you young.
Yeah.
You know, just before we got here, I was, you know, invited. There was a new business opening. I was there for their official ceremony, this and that. I got home 15 minutes before we started this, you know?
Yeah.
So you were there for the ribbon cutting.
Yes, I was. And we've got a whole new municipal center that's going to be starting to be built in a couple of weeks. This has been 7 years in planning. It's a new library and community center. Well, probably within a couple of weeks, I'll be cutting a ribbon there for the first, you know, the first shovel.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh,
because
yeah, the shovel.
Congratulations.
The silver shovel.
Congratulations, Raymond, because I remember last time you were mentioning that you were close to that now. So congratulations. Félicitations.
Yeah. So now we'll be doing the first with the, you know, nice silver shovel for the picture. It's starting probably in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
That's been 7 years, 8 years in the making. Now I'm going to see it. So, but through that, there have been so many obstacles, so many setbacks, so many this. Now it's there. It's going to happen.
See, but you persevered.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it.
You persevered. Yeah. See, and may I make a statement that the same passion you had for wrestling, which you still have.
Oh, yeah.
You now switched it to politics, and you're still the same Raymond. And your passion, same passionate person. I noticed that just by talking to you and seeing that. And I think your city is blessed to have you as mayor.
Yeah.
My gosh. And like I said, I'd vote for you, but I don't have a vote in Canada yet. But I would vote for you because you are passionate, you are genuine, you are sincere, and you do look beyond yourself and you look towards the people as you did in wrestling. You
Yeah.
look to the fans. You respected the fans, and you're doing the same thing here.
Yeah.
It's a pattern,
Well, like I
and
said
it's a
earlier,
good
it's who
pattern.
you are. You
Yeah.
can't teach that.
Yeah.
It's who you are.
Right.
And that's who I am.
Exactly.
You
And
know, and
that's-
you can't play it, try to sell that. No.
No.
They're going to see right through you.
Right.
Yep.
And that's the common thread. That's the common thread that links the two of you together, is that selflessness where you were always trying to give back. Rico, you did exactly the same thing with law enforcement and
Yeah.
everything else. And this is why, individuals such as yourselves are remembered by that pro wrestling fan base. Because, yeah, it's the genuineness of you both. And I think it's been an absolutely remarkable occasion to have the two of you together like this, very similar personalities, and giving is what it's all about. Giving is what it's all about, and we need a lot more of that in the world. We certainly need a lot more of that in professional wrestling too.
Yep.
We need a lot more genuine characters like that. That's what breathes, and like Raymond said, memories. You're creating memories for individuals. And Raymond, I just want, yeah.
The first time you contacted me, so we could speak, and we did something together.
Yeah.
I could sense that you are genuine also. You're a true person, and you can feel that. And when I was glad I met you last week, first time we met in person.
Yeah.
But then when I met you, it's like I've known you for a long time because it's who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's why when you asked me, would you be interested? It's my pleasure. You're genuine, Rico. You're a genuine person, and it's so.
Thank you, sir.
It's so fun. It's so gratifying to speak to real people.
Yeah. It was when I stood there with you, Raymond, with my wife, with Tink. It was like I already knew Rico. It was like I already knew Raymond. I was just chit chatting with him, just hanging out with candidly, talking about whatever, and it was just easy. It was really nice. So again, and it's the first time I've been to Canada. So I want to thank everyone in Canada I want to thank Prestige Gym. I want to thank Matthew Jacobs and his wife, Layla, for taking care of us up there. That was a beautiful experience. Many others that I'm going to go over in the weeks to come here. GPW, thank you. I was a part of the show. I got to walk out with Luke the Bushwhacker. That was a memorable experience for me. So another great guy. Of course, that we both.
And you enjoyed the weather. It wasn't so hot.
Oh yes, it was beautiful. Although I did come back, it's 118 now here, but it's.
I feel sorry for you.
It's okay. I just go from here to the store or here to the gym. That's it. That's all we can do right now until summer breaks.
Well, in Arizona, it's only 96.
And I'm going to be heading that way soon.
But sometimes we say, what advice could we give to somebody, and constructive advice?
Yeah.
First of all, if your dream is to go into the business, live your dream. Don't go for it. Do it.
Yep.
But at the same time, when you go in, just remember, it's not going to last forever. And if you have the privilege and the opportunity to get a break and make some money, save it.
Yeah.
Because at one point it's going to stop. Mm-hmm. And then keep your eyes open and remember there's life after the business, and that life can be beautiful after the business. If you ask me, are you happy now? I've never been as happy as I've never been happier. Yeah. And when I was in the business, I couldn't have been happier there either. Yeah. When I was commentator, I could have been happier, and now I can be happier. Yeah. So basically, I always say, when I'm on my deathbed, I'm going to question myself. Do I have any regrets? And if the answer is no, I won in the game of life.
Amen. Yeah. Amen.
Exactly.
Indeed.
I had the same thing from 2016 to 2019. The blood clots, I got migraines, vertigo, neuropathy. I got everything. And 2 years I fought, and it wasn't getting any better. And the last year, I just gave in and said, you know what, Lord? I said, if I wake up, I'll take my medicine. If I don't, I'll be with you. Either way, I'm happy. And I'm not going to ask for an extension on life because you at
Yeah.
that time have given me so much that I am fully satisfied.
Mhm.
And he decided to heal me, and I went on to other things because I probably wasn't done here in
Yeah.
this world. So I went on, and I've always had this motto, Raymond, and I say it at the end of every show, but I'm going to say it now. And I've lived by this. You know, I'm an ADD kid with a splash of autism and stuff like that. I went to military school. I learned structure. I got off medication, and now I just live life without medication, which you can do, folks. You can do it. You just got to have structure. And my motto is what your mind can conceive, your heart can achieve.
Yeah. And,
I
That's been my
commend you
motto.
for that. That's a nice message.
yeah, it's a beautiful
Yeah.
message. And I think we've come to the close. And I do want to say thank you so much, Raymond, for taking the time to be with us today, for blessing us with this. It's been a beautiful episode. I hope that anyone watching this has been able to garner something from this episode. One of the things I want to leave you with is like Raymond, reflecting upon Raymond and both Rico, take the time, live in the moment, smell the roses, enjoy what you're doing. And like Rico said, what the mind can conceive, the heart can achieve. And always also remember, it's about giving back to others. The greatest thing that you can do in this life is gift something memorable to someone else or help somebody else. Those are the most gratifying things, and those are the things that will truly live on with other people. On that
Yep.
note, on that note, everybody, Raymond, it was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
The
Thank you for having me again.
Honorable Raymond
Rico,
Rougeau. The
Rico,
Honorable.
it was great talking to you today. You're an
I
inspiration.
thank you. So are you, sir.
Yep.
So are you.
Yep, we are. Yep, you both are. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm getting tongue-tied now. It's been a great episode. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you tune back in future episodes. I'm sure Raymond will be back with us in some capacity, whether here or with Paul and Mario. But make sure you tune back in. This has been Styling. I've been Emir. Rico. Oh, Rico, you got one more thing to say?
Yes, Your Honor. Next time we do this, can we do it in your office?
There you go. There you go.
We'll be in his office next time. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
I would be so overjoyed to be in the mayor's office doing a podcast.
That would be nice, actually. We'll see if we can get the camera. All right, ladies
If Your
and gentlemen.
Honor agrees.
Yes.
Yeah, no problem.
All right.
Anything you want.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next week right here on Styling. Take care.
Oh, they're gone.